Alright. I don't know how to preface this, but this isn't a video that I thought I'd ever make on this channel, on my TikTok. But I feel like it's something that has to be made. I don't know, I came across a video today of a guy kind of talking about an experience that he had with someone, and I don't know, it just spoke to me, and I feel like I should also kind of talk about the stuff that I've been through. Specifically, one thing that has caused, I would say, a great deal of stress in the past, year or so. It's something that I've been kind of ignoring, just like putting it off to the side, but like deep down you can tell that it's in the back of your head, almost kind of like gnawing at you. It's there, but you don't pay any attention to it, but it's something that's in the shadows, But yeah, so the thing that I want to talk about, it's something that's very deeply personal, something that not even like my family members or like parents, anyone, nobody knows really, except for one person. But yeah, this event that I want to talk about, it happened about a year and a half ago, but that's not really where it began. There was this person that I met in about 2021 on this game that I love to play, and that game is no other than Call of Duty. And it was really nice to meet them, like they were genuinely a good person, someone really fun to play with, energetic, etc. And the more I hung out with them, the more I got to know them and whatnot. And over time we grew close to the point where they wanted to tell me that they actually had feelings for me. And I really didn't know how to take it at first, it's like that feeling, something is going on, but you don't want to I guess pay attention to it, almost something is going on, but it's let that be, do its own thing. I was just coasting, just having fun on the game and just making friends, really. But yeah, one thing turned into another, and then they pretty much told me they liked me, and that it's like they're revealing their feelings, and it's not like I have to reciprocate it, whatever. But I ended up reciprocating, let's see how this thing goes, and I approached it with an open mind, and things were good. First few months things were completely fine, and this was around 2021 to 2022, when I was taking a break from college, actually. So the first year of college, it was pretty stressful, TLDR, and so it was during COVID, and I decided I would take a gap year. To this day, I kind of wish I haven't, low-key, but I guess that's just life. So anyways, this person that I met online, and I haven't seen them in person. But I think it was like about a year later, or maybe like 6 to 8 months later, during a summer, we decided that we'd want to see each other, right? And so we, honestly, I don't even want to get into everything. It's not really necessary, but yeah, so we saw each other. They came down to where I live, and then, you know, it was, I guess, great, like this, you know, spark of love. The sparks for love were all over the place, etc. And it got very intimate. And then, yeah, so they came over for like, I think it was like a day or two, and then they finally met me in person. But yeah, you know, distance is a big thing. And so they returned. They went back to, you know, where they were. I think somewhere along the way, I believe like a few months later, I had to return back to college, which meant I wouldn't see them. And I think right before I decided I would return back to college, I would see them again. And so she invited me over to her college dorm. And I think I stayed there for like, what, a day or two? And yeah, kind of after that, I would say things fell apart a bit. Quite a bit, actually. You know, like long distance, it's very difficult for it to work unless, you know, both people are very committed to making it work. So, and this was not one of those cases. And so she was the one that I think said it wasn't gonna work. I mean, I kind of already like knew, because it's like you already see the signs, like when they kind of don't hang out with you as much, or like maybe like text you slightly less, or are less energetic. It's kind of obvious, you know. So, you know, I wasn't oblivious to that at all. So but I think somewhere along the way, I'm not sure when exactly it was, it turned into an argument. Yeah, I'm not even sure when it was, whether it was when I was going back to college, or maybe like a month later or two, or yeah, I don't know where the timeline is, but basically, I think the reason they said they want to break up is because they have a particular set of taste for what they kind of want maybe a relationship to be. And for them, it was that they liked being, or were conditioned to like being, in a toxic relationship of sorts, like toxic dynamic. And like apparently like all their life, like that's kind of all they've known. And so when it's not given by someone who genuinely cares about someone else, they, you know, they're reticent to, you know, continue and engage in the relationship. So yeah, that's kind of what happened. But then, yeah, I really am not sure when this exactly happened, but it got to the point where I started hanging out with, like, more often with one of I guess our mutual friends now, that I kind of met through her, but we've grown very close together. because we played a lot of games together. And so I started, like, I played with him a bit more often because, well, I no longer played with her, so yeah. And so what had happened was she kind of felt like somewhere along the way that I was stealing her, like, best friend, so to speak. And she got really, like, personal about it too. Like, I don't know what it was, honestly, but I don't know if it'll ever make sense to me. Probably not. But yeah, so that happened, and it turned into a whole thing where I don't even remember all the details well, not until I kind of pulled up some DMs and actually remembered what happened. So she apparently kicked me out of a Discord server of, she was a mod in this mutual friend server. And so she kicked me out for whatever reason, just because she didn't like me. But eventually I was able to get back into the server because, I was able to talk to this mutual friend who, he saw me as his friend and, not just someone he met through the other person. And, we both were equally close to this mutual friend, but for some reason she acted like we weren't. She was getting very selfish with, like, all of her friends and, like, naming, why are you friends with this person and why are you still friends with that person, even though we don't talk. Like, very, like, territorial and, like, yeah. And then, but eventually, I still spoke to her for, whatever reason. I don't know, that's just the way I am or whatever. Like, yeah. And then eventually it got to the point where I was kind of almost sympathizing because she was like, you guys make me out to be a monster, this and that. Maybe I should do X, to myself, or, like, I don't know, like, kind of guilt tripping a tiny bit. But anyways, I guess that was just her personality and who she was. But anyways, like, fast forward a year and a half later. Within this year, I met someone else, and yeah, I've been with them for, like, over a year or so. But then we ended it off mutually. Well, I actually ended it off, but it was very, like, respectful, and but yeah. So fast forward to 2024. I got back in contact. So this is where I think I went through a year and a half or 2 years more of college, and so somehow, like, out of the blue, I think we decided to, or me or them, somehow we came in contact with each other again after a while. And it was the summer of 2024, like, right after, I think around, like, yeah, summer, pretty much, July, August, when for some reason, yeah, we ended up playing together again. And it got to the point where for some reason we wanted to see each other. I'm gonna get some water. And so like this is where like the meat of the present day's dilemma kind of stands. So I book a trip to where they live, and I was supposed to go to their house and stay there for like a day or two. You know, meet her mom and etc. Whatever. And so I went over, and so we hang out, do a lot of stuff together. So this is really important because so up to this point, right? We've gotten really intimate previously. We haven't seen each other for what, like 2 years or so. And so there's like all that backstory, everything. And yeah, so now we see each other for the first time after 2 years. And like, right, so to preface, I kind of went into meeting her, not knowing what would happen, but kind of like having my hopes up a bit, like that something might happen. But I think she communicated that she didn't really want anything necessarily at that time. But nevertheless, what had happened when I got there was that we actually were doing things that seemed to be a bit beyond what just friends do, So things like cuddling on the sofa while watching a movie or whatever. So that's one thing. So it's like it was very difficult to kind of maintain the line of a friend and like not prevent something more from happening. So it was very difficult, but nothing happened significantly in the house, but some other things that were happening. She allowed me to sleep with her on the bed, like next to her, for whatever reason, even though she didn't want anything necessarily. It just like like at that point, like what are you trying to do, kind of, it's just a bit odd. And like at that point, this is a bit relevant, but like there was a point where like a dude came over to our house, right? Let's call him K. This K guy, like I think this K guy's been like coming over to our house for whatever reason, like the past few months. I don't even know why, but anyways, but they seem to be very close. And she even like made a comment, like some random comment, that he even sleeps over on her bed. Like sometimes he just knocks out. He comes from his pickleball practice and he just like sleeps like I don't fucking know. That's just, when I heard that, like that was just really weird to me. But I don't know why I ignored it. Like I don't fucking know, now that I think about it. But anyways, I just swept that thought under the rug for whatever reason. But anyways, yeah, so with that in mind, like she's been around this guy. Even so, she let me sleep on the bed with her. Nothing happened really, but I think like the next day or later that day, we were in the bed watching like a movie or something, and one thing turned into another, and that turned into a kiss. But yeah, what she had said after that was that, you know, I don't have to be the one to I don't have to initiate anything, and that she was going to be the one that was going to, you know, do something if she wanted to. And so, yeah, like I respected that, respect her wishes. You know, after that, nothing had happened. But yeah, so now we're really getting to the thing that's been kind of gnawing at me and my soul for the past year and a half. So we were supposed to go over to another friend that we met online, and it happened that they came over, or were living here. Actually, yeah, they came over to visit another friend. So he met this other person, this mutual friend that we were going to visit. This guy, he met another person that he also wanted to see, and so he came over. So that was like an hour away. So we got ready, right? She let me do her hair, whatever, French braids. I made them, blah blah blah. Only to show that, you know, we were very close to each other, right? And we really trusted one another with ourselves. And so, yeah. So we go over to meet them. We meet them at this like Korean barbecue place. Actually, I think I should like backtrack a bit. So right before this, I don't know if it was the day before or 2 days before, but maybe it was the same day actually. But we go over to like a seaside kind of restaurant, right? And yeah, we kind of catch up, you know, what's been going on with your life, what's been going on, you know. And I don't know, it just kind of felt like she was almost leading me on, like, in a way, you know what I mean? Like, for example, when the bill came, she's like, you know, aren't you gonna pay for my food or whatever? Like, you know, in like a kind of flirty way, like, you know, like I don't know how to describe it, but you know, the man in the relationship kind of, you know, he's the one has to kind of pay for everything. He doesn't have to, but it's kind of what's done. But yeah, anyways, just like with that in mind, the flirty tone, blah blah blah. Yeah, fast forward, we go over to this friend that we've met online, and after the Korean barbecue, we go over to this friend's other mutual person that he met, and he basically he came to see her, and so we went over to her place, and you know, we were all drinking soju, tequila, whatever you could name, and then, you know, the party kind of dwindled down, and it was 4 of us, 5 of us, 4, 3, and then just the 2 of us. We were in the living room, and we were on an airbed. I think it was an airbed. And then the lights were off, and like we were supposed to be sleeping, but it was cold. Like, it was very cold, but we were very close to each other. You know, it was warm where we were, and our bodies, they were pretty much like touching and extremely close proximity to each other. And the very simple touch turned into a little more than just a simple touch. Okay. So I started, moving closer towards her, and then she started moving closer towards me. One thing led to another, and yeah. Okay. So everything that happened, it's important to note that everything that happened here, nothing here was forced at all. Like, we have, been with each other like numerous other times, and so this time though, it was a bit different because we were supposed to be friends, but it's like, this is like beyond friends, and it's like something you can't come back from. It's like really messy, it's like God. But yeah, so it was very consensual. The consent wasn't verbal, but it was very much kind of abiding by those rules. For example, whenever like we went from one stage to another, it's like I asked, can I do this? Is this okay? And then she even asked, let me do this, and it's more comfortable for me, whatever. And I don't like kissing, like, etc. And yeah, like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, I just followed whatever she told me. And what happens like 10 minutes later is her friend, well, our mutual friend, this guy, he, for whatever reason, comes out in the middle of the night to show me something like random on the phone while we're like completely unclothed. And but the saving grace was that it was like really dark, and so, and there was a blanket, so I wrapped that over her and me. So yeah, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I don't know how much he saw, how much he knew, but it felt like he didn't really see anything, and then I kind of just like shooed him off as if, whatever. But I don't know, it was really embarrassing a bit. It was weird. It was really weird. I don't know how to describe it. But I feel like she was the one that felt super off. Like, I felt really like goddamn, that shit was so weird. But I think she was a bit more overwhelmed by that because she didn't expect that, number one. And it's like, we're supposed to be friends, and then this other guy comes over and kind of like interrupts whatever was happening, and it's like, it's really fucking weird at this point. But yeah, after that, like, we try to go back, but it never works. And this is just me guessing, but I'm thinking she was feeling really like almost guilty in a sort of way, and she realized that this is not something that she wanted from the very beginning. And then then I see tears falling from her eyes, and I knew like nothing else was gonna happen. Like, I put her everything back on and made sure she went off to sleep, whereas like, yeah, I don't know, I don't think I really got much sleep that night. Anyways, we wake up in the morning and it's almost as if nothing ever happened, like, to them, they acted like nothing ever happened. To me, I'm just like, observing like what happened last night, you know, like what the fuck even went on, what's going through your mind, you know. I'm just like wondering, but never ever getting the answer. And like her eyes are so like elusive, almost elusive, and like with like something that's hidden almost, I don't know. But I don't know, it's like she puts on a very good veil. So anyways, we have to drive back. She's the driver, it's her car. And so yeah, so we go back, we walk back as if it's nothing, and then nothing happened, as if. And somehow we were like still speaking as if everything was normal, as if nothing had happened. And I don't know, it just really threw me off completely, like astronomically threw me off. Anyways, we returned to her house, and then I think I just wanted to like kind of get out of there as soon as possible, kind of thing. Like, it's looking back, I think a lot of this could have been avoided if we had just one of us was mature enough to like bring up what happened, or like how to talk about it or whatever. But that didn't really end up happening. Instead, yeah, we just like went about our days, kind of like put it under the rug. All right, but eventually, like, everything seemed to be fine. Like, it's not like anything changed. Like, she was acting normal, talking to me as usual. I was doing my best to talk to her as well, with, you know, everything that's happened, considering all that. But then, yeah, so I wanted to go back home, and so I booked a bus back, and I went back home. And on that ride, like, at the exact moment after, you know, I hug her and then I went into the car, at that exact moment, I don't know, it felt like I was walking into a cave, never to come back almost, you know? Like, I'm not in the light anymore, you know? And then I text her, and then it seems like she's like very almost distanced. Like, you know, they reply, someone who you know, they would reply like immediately, right, to your messages. But yeah, I just felt a bit distant, more and more distant as I went back home. And I didn't really know what to say, honestly. Looking back, I said some really stupid things. I tried to gauge the temperature, like, to see where we were after all that, and honestly that ended up backfiring, because I mentioned something like, I don't know, I mentioned something along the lines of, like, I entertained the possibility of being with her again for whatever reason, but really I just wanted to know, like, where she stood, like what was going through her mind. Like, that's the main thing that I wanted to know. But yeah, actually, so this was, I think, this wasn't immediately right after, actually. So another thing that had happened right before this, before I entertained any possibility of anything. So I left her Discord right after I came back, because things felt really weird. And so, like, I had a habit of, when like people weren't communicating to me, or like something felt really off, like, yeah, so sorry, that was, I charged my phone. So I have a habit of kind of distancing myself when when I don't feel comfortable. And yeah, when people don't talk to me properly, because, what's the point of me asking for answers when you're just right there by yourself, needing time to think about things? Like, I'm also thinking about things. Like, you're not the only person, right? So anyways, I leave her server, but then for some reason she got really angry at me. Like, why do you keep leaving my server when XYZ happens? Like, and the reason is pretty clear why I would leave. It's because you're not communicating, You refuse to, like, actually talk about things that I want to talk about, that we should talk about. So, it's better for me to just stay out of the way, just do my own thing. And then I joined back, right? Because she wants me back in her server. So I joined back. And at this point, I'm just like, kind of like fed up with everything, all the miscommunication, or rather lack of communication. So at some point, I feel like at that point I was a bit frustrated, I would say. And I was in her server, and I think somehow either me or someone brought up a point where sometimes you gotta like cut people off for whatever reason, people who don't care about you or something like that. And she saw that message and she took that extremely personally. Like, what do you mean by this? Like I know what you're talking about, kind of like in that tone. So I don't know, what does that show? Like what does that even tell me about her? Like, that she's even thinking what I'm saying necessarily relates to what she's thinking in her mind, yet she's not, texting me or anything. It just felt like I was very cut off, almost in a very uncomfortable way. Like, even though I've known them for years, like, they refuse to engage in any meaningful way, So yeah. Anyways, so after that, what went down was there was like a big, almost publicized, fight, kind of an argument, and there were a lot of people in the server. Like, this person, they know a lot of other people, and so they were probably also seeing all this unfold, and she has to save face somehow, and what had happened was I ended up like leaving completely. I'm the one who had to leave. Like, they wouldn't even kick me out for whatever reason. So I left, yet the aftermath somehow found its way to me in a way that I never expected. Like, I don't even know where it came from or how she even ordered the puzzle pieces to even bring about the like kind of allegations, the things that I've allegedly done to her, which didn't make sense to me when I first heard them. And I think I first heard them, actually very soon. I think like a few months after, right before I went back to college for the last time. So this was in like September, and we had some mutual friends, obviously, online that play, and so like a few months later, like a month later, like very, very shortly, another friend, like, I don't even think he asked me, but like I don't exactly know what exactly like took place, but from what I recall, um, one of my friends, my closest friend, um, I would say she's my best friend pretty much, but um, things turned kind of on its side in September, and like I was still in the midst of processing kind of everything and like what had happened, and in the middle of it, like she like randomly asks on one of the days, like, I heard you did this, not asks, she like kind of like claims almost, I heard you did this to this person. And okay, so this supposed best friend of mine, so she happens to know this other person. So remember the guy that we went to visit um, on that day where everything happened? He's actually he started being friends with this person that I've known, my supposed best friend that I've known for a few years, and I think he started whispering in her ear the things that he heard from, um, the person, and so he started whispering in her ear, and then she was coming up to me as if, what had happened is exactly what she's been told in her mind. The story was like constructed in such an elaborate way that it seemed to be, nothing less than the truth. So yeah, and the thing that's been going around was that apparently I I'm not even sure what she said in text. Honestly, I don't even recall, but it was along the lines of like sexual assault, and I don't even know how a person can like take all of that and construct like the story of that exactly. Like it still baffles me. I don't understand, honestly, but somehow I don't know if it's because she's a female or like whatever, but and like the kindness of this my supposed best friend, like I don't know if she took advantage of that or whatever, but anyways, so I lost that person as a friend, and what I kind of felt like betrayed because I never had a person like that who like understood me to that point, but like there were a lot of emotions going through my mind, so I didn't exactly know how to like calm myself down so I can actually talk to them, which I know they were more than willing, but at that point I was like really, really vexed, and yeah, I was just really, really, really irritated because of something like this, because I never expected something like that to happen. Yeah, so I lost that group of friends, and yeah, so now fast forward another year later, present time, it still apparently somehow finds its way to me, the nonsense and the drama. Some people just like hanging on to that, but I made my peace with it. It's whatever. I can't do anything about it. I never spoke to anyone about it until I actually did, like, what, 2-3 months back. That's the first time I told anyone about this, and that's the first time I felt like I wasn't the one that did something wrong. Like you don't understand. Like I've been living like not for one moment. Every time I think about that, it's just like like a deep patch in the like a dark patch in the back of my head, and it's like just like it's been just lingering, just like gnawing and like biting little by little into my almost sanity, you know? It's like I'm laughing, but like it's yeah, and I don't know if it's a stress that manifested from this or like what it was, but only recently, well, like about a year ago, which is about the same time frame when this kind of happened. Like I feel like my stress levels have gone up like exponentially. Because of some, you know, I don't know. I've been having like my body hasn't felt the same. It's like a bit shaky for whatever reason, but yeah. Anyways, that's besides the point. But yeah, I've noticed some like physiological changes, and I feel like that's like stress related, and this thing happening has definitely not helped at all. But I feel like I need to get this out because otherwise it's just gonna live in my head rent free. And so if it's gonna be inside of me, like it's better if it's just out, you know. And so more recently, like supposedly one of her, you know, closer friends, this other person that I also knew, but I didn't really care about them. But so this other person, this, we'll call her C, this C person, I believe somehow they ended up in a mutual server between me and, you know, and one of my other closer friends present time. And they came in the server, and the next day somehow I'm not even in the server anymore. And this server wasn't owned by, you know, this friend that I knew, but it was owned by someone else. But the fact that someone can just waltz in and say something that can get someone else like removed from a server, the fact that you can like spread those lies so credibly and, you know, get sympathy for things that never even happened, like that part, it just does not make sense to me at all. Like I don't fucking know what it is. Like that's gotta be like slander or like harassment in some own fucking way. And apparently when I go to text this person, like all their mind is like so closed off, they're so convinced about everything they're saying and believing, you know, like that I harass people or like this and that, and you know, I should be in jail, blah blah blah. Like I really don't understand where like all that came from. And it's like what did I even do to deserve this kind of thing, you know? Like it's so stupid. Like I know who I am. You don't have to tell me this. Like it was so stupid. And it got to the point where they actually got just because like I said, I don't give a fuck what you say, you know, it doesn't matter to me, because that's simply not the truth, you know. It's simply not what had gone down. That's not what had happened. But somehow they're so convinced, and it makes me think like did this girl like really go over and tell everyone things that aren't even, you know, she probably cut off 90% of everything that happened and just kept that 10%, and then just somehow like constructed it in a way that made it seem like I'm the shitty person. I don't get that. So this friend of hers, for some reason she went over in multiple servers, I found out later, and so for some reason started making comments about me like a year after the fact. And then someone else reached out to me from a different server, and they asked, you know, like, you know, someone was saying this, what's going on? And, you know, as a fucking logical person would, they actually listen to what I had to say, you know, because they've been through the same thing. You know, people say things about each other that aren't true, and it's an online thing, and it's just stupid. But yeah, some people actually understand, but others not so much, because right after I dismissed this friend of hers, she actually went over to another server to a group of like idiots who troll people on the game, and somehow they found their way into another server that I was in and that she was in as well. Actually, she wasn't in the server. One of her other friends was in that server. One of C's other friends were in that server. And somehow, like, there's this guy that came out of nowhere, this troublemaker. And later I found out that I'm pretty sure that this guy went to jail for whatever reason. And he's just been out of jail. But anyways, I don't know this context before. And for some reason, he was trying to get in contact with me. And he was trying to, like, it was so goofy. I don't even understand if it was real or not. But it was real. And he was saying that he was basically gonna go over to the police with information about what I've been doing. And I'm like, you know, what have I been doing? And so in that mutual server of one of my present friends now, they were telling the server owner to ban me for whatever reason. And then get this, the reason was that I like minors. That was their reason. And I'm like where the fuck did this shit even come from? Like, one thing I understand, you know, if it was a story of, you know, this person that, you know, I was with, but it's not even related to that fact. It's like something that came out of nowhere. Like, where does that stuff even come from? And so for some reason, the C person felt obligated to kind of tarnish my name in whatever way possible. And I don't even understand how one gets a motivation to even do something like that, you know? But yeah, so I had this guy who was claiming these things speak to, because I don't want to waste my time, I had to speak to one of my other, like, now present friend who actually knows the story or whatever, the only person in the world. And he tells her that he's about to file papers to the fucking police. The police does not care about these things, number one. So it's like the bluff isn't working. Nevertheless, that's what he tells her. And, you know, he has my address, this and that. And it's just like he's trying to like get a rise out of me. And it's just so stupid. I don't even enter the call. They talk about it and then she tells me. Anyways, all of this just to, you know, just to show, well, right after this, like, I just ignored it completely, and then it kind of just died down. See, the more I like almost entertain or exist, like, or think like it exists, the more it actually does seem to exist. And it's like, if you just ignore them, it just, you know, it just seems to go away. But the reason why I'm making this video is because some of the actual things that happened that actually matter, the thoughts, the stress that comes from those thoughts, those things don't go away. And so I just wanted to make this video just to, you know, kind of have my truth out there a bit, you know, because I feel like guys, they don't really talk about these things, but these things also are really important. And I feel like we shouldn't, you know, it's really important that, you know, people who've been through very negative experiences, that should be heard, but also that should not be used as a tool to, you know, weaponize your ego and portray someone else as a negative character. I feel like that should be something that never happens, and I don't wish that on anyone, honestly. It's like, because, you know, when that happens, you know, you lose a lot of friends, you lose a bit of confidence, you know, and it's like, it's something that you shouldn't have to go through. Yeah, that's kind of all I wanted to say. Thank you for listening to me, and yeah, I hope you have a nice day. Thank you.